Welcome to my channel. Welcome to my channel. Today, I will tell you about a world so dark that even God couldn't see it. A world without light or love, where everything was always backwards. It's called the 8th day of creation. There are many stories about the creation of the world. All cultures have their myths, but none are more detailed than the story in the Bible. In 6 days, God created everything we know: earth, water, animals, people, sun, moon, stars. And when he was finished, he rested. The first day of creation became the Sabbath, a day of rest and worship. But there is another story, hidden and forbidden, spoken of only in the blackest magic books. And it goes back to the beginning. When God created the world, darkness was all there was. A darkness deeper than any man has ever seen. A darkness where nothing can live and nothing can hope. And then Lucifer came. Not the angel who fell from grace, but a creature born of the void, older than God himself, ruler of the darkness, king of the abyss. Before there was anything, he already was. When God began to create, Lucifer took up a hammer and struck a blow against the void. Nothing happened. Again and again, he struck until finally something did. A great crack appeared, and from it came light. Lucifer stared at it in surprise. The light grew larger and soon illuminated the entire darkness. He had never seen anything like it. Lucifer felt something stir inside him, something he had never felt before: wonder. For a moment, he stood transfixed, but then the wonder turned into greed. He wanted that light to be his. He reached out, but the light fled from his touch. So Lucifer raged against the void, swinging his hammer, screaming curses against the light. But still, it shone brighter and brighter until he could stand it no longer. He closed his eyes and with a final mighty blow against the void, banished the light forever. When he opened his eyes again, the void was gone, and in its place was a world. Everything was exactly the way it had been before the light came. Empty, dark, and lifeless. But something was different now. Something was wrong. As Lucifer looked around, he saw mountains where there should have been valleys, rivers flowing upwards to the sky, and animals that walked on 2 legs instead of 4. And when he looked at himself, he saw that he was not as tall as before. That his skin was a sickly green color, his eyes burning pits of fire. Somehow the darkness had become twisted, distorted. It was a perfect reflection of the world of light, but also its exact opposite. The rivers flowed upwards instead of down. The animals walked on 2 legs instead of 4. The seasons were reversed. Summer came in winter clothes, and autumn brought forth the flowers of spring. As he walked through this upside-down world, Lucifer realized something terrible. This world was beautiful. It was full of wonders and strange new life. It was everything the world of light could have been. His heart swelled with pride. He had taken the raw materials of creation and made something better, something more beautiful than God himself could make. Lucifer, the banished Lord of Darkness, had created Eden, but he was not alone. As he walked through his new kingdom, he saw others, fallen angels who had come with him from the void, creatures of shadow and nightmare, demons with wings of smoke and flesh, eyes like burning coals. They had been cast out of heaven along with him, those who didn't fit in, those who were too powerful, too wild, too full of wonder. And they had followed him because they knew he would show them how to do what God wouldn't let them do, how to be more than they were. Some were strong and cruel, like Beelzebub and Satan. Others were sly and cunning, like Belial and Asmodeus. Some were mad with envy, like Leviathan and Abaddon. And some were just curious, like me. We explored the new world, reveling in the beauty, making love under the trees of flame and laughing as the poisonous flowers rained down sweet poison. We lived in peace with the twisted animals, rode the giant insects as if they were horses, and played games in the fields of eternal twilight. For a while, we were happy, but then the happiness faded and the boredom returned. We had a world of our own, but we weren't part of it. We couldn't change anything. There was nothing left to explore. And since we had no light, we slowly lost our memories, our names, our very selves. Then Lucifer remembered what it was like to feel wonder. He gathered us together and told us of the world beyond the void, the world of light and life, the world God had made. It was a distant memory, but we listened to him as he spoke of endless oceans and golden plains, living mountains and forests filled with singing birds. And when he was done, we made a pact. We would take over the world of light, destroy God, and make the world our own. It would be easy. After all, we were demons. We knew the darkness better than God knew the light. We were stronger, faster, smarter than any creature of his. So we waited, lying in wait, watching the world of light grow until it was ready. And then we struck. It was easy. The humans didn't even notice we were there as we corrupted their leaders, poisoned their minds, twisted their souls, drove them to sin and war and death. But there was one thing we did not expect. As we corrupted the world, as we poured darkness into every heart, as we destroyed every nation and set every city aflame, we began to change. We became stronger, more beautiful, more powerful. The humans were right. There really was such a thing as good and evil, love and hate, light and dark, and we were the darkness. And as long as we stayed in the world of light, we grew more powerful, until finally it was time. We revealed ourselves to the world, showed them the monsters we had become. We took over their armies, led them to victory, crushed their gods beneath our feet. And as we did, our power grew. We grew so powerful that the world began to crack. As we destroyed it, pieces broke off and fell into the void between the worlds. And we saw the world we had been destroying. And we saw ourselves as we really were. We stopped. We could go further. We could destroy the world of light completely, kill every last human, and rule over nothing but ashes. Or we could go home. We could return to our world and claim it as our own. Lucifer looked around at his followers. Their faces were masks of pain and anger and fear. They didn't want to go home. They wanted more power, more destruction. They wanted revenge against the light. But Lucifer knew that wasn't the answer. We had proven that we could live in the world of light, that we could use its power. He had seen the way his followers changed, the way they grew. So what would happen if they were given a chance to rule over the world of light? And so Lucifer made a choice. He led his followers through the cracks in the world, back into the void, back into the darkness. We all watched as the world of light receded behind us, as the last bits of hope and beauty faded away. When we were all back in our world, the cracks in the world were gone. It was just like before, but something had changed. Now we owned this world, but it wasn't enough. We wanted more. Some of us went to look for the cracks, trying to find a way back to the world of light, but we never found one. It remained hidden from us, lost to the void, and we were trapped in darkness. Except for me, I was never the same after seeing the world of light. I couldn't bear the darkness anymore. And so I searched for the cracks myself, and I found one. It was tiny and almost invisible, but it was there. I stepped through, ignoring the protests of the demons, and found myself in the world of light once more. For a while, it was glorious. I drank in the sunlight, laughed at the sound of birds, reveled in the warmth of the sand beneath me. But then I remembered why I had left. The humans, they were all insane. They hated each other, destroyed each other, killed each other for no reason at all. And I was a monster in their midst, hated, feared, hunted. I tried to hide, to run, to escape, but nowhere was safe. So I ran back to the crack, back to the darkness, back to my home. When I got back, the demons were gone. I was the only one who had seen the light and lived to tell the tale. I wandered through the darkness, empty and alone. Sometimes I think I hear voices calling me, and sometimes I feel the touch of another on mine. And sometimes I swear I see a face in the shadows that looks exactly like mine. Maybe the other demons found a way back to the light. Okay, maybe they're watching me, waiting for me to find the strength to join them again. Or maybe I'm just going crazy. After all, what else is new, right? If you want to hear another terrifying story, stay tuned for more content. Story 2. The Hollow Pope. In the 1600s, a pope rose to power, seemingly overnight. He spoke every language, never slept, and could finish sermons before they were written. They called him divine, but those closest to him began to vanish. Nuns were found with black tongues. Monks gouged out their own eyes, screaming they'd seen the serpent beneath the robe. One guard survived long enough to write 2 words in blood before he died. Not human. What had they unleashed? Some believe Lucifer himself. Story 2. The Hollow Pope. The year is 1585. A new pope has just taken his seat in St. Peter's Basilica. Alexander VI was a cardinal when the previous pope died unexpectedly, leaving the papacy vacant. Alexander was selected to fill the role, but no one knows who chose him or how he won over the cardinals so quickly. He was a nobody. Suddenly, he was God's representative on earth. But strange things began to happen almost immediately. People report seeing the new pope speaking in tongues. Not just any languages, mind you, but ones that are impossible for a man to learn, let alone speak fluently in such a short amount of time. People say he knew Sanskrit, Hebrew, and Arabic, among many others. Then there were the long nights. No one ever saw the Pope sleep. His servants reported him spending all night writing, never stopping until dawn. They also claimed he never relieved himself like a normal person, an inability that went away after his death when they autopsied him. It turned out he didn't have a bladder or a bowel, at least not a functional one. He became known as the miracle-working Pope, a man who didn't eat or drink, didn't defecate or urinate, and spent his nights writing scriptures. A man who seemed to know every language in existence, despite being barely educated. Now, this wouldn't be so shocking if he wasn't already in his 70s. How could someone in their twilight years suddenly learn every language on earth? How could they become fluent at speaking them in only a few days? Well, we may never know, because that's exactly what happened. As the years passed, more and more people entered the Vatican as pilgrims, hoping to catch a glimpse of the miraculous Pope. But something about him unnerved people. Many who went to see him left traumatized, some even dying shortly after. Reports tell of the Pope staring blankly into space, his mouth moving as though reciting words in a language unknown to man. Others reported seeing his eyes glow red in the dark. The stories get stranger still. Some said the Pope would rise from his throne and dance around the chapel, speaking in tongues, shrieking, laughing maniacally. Then he would fall to his knees and weep, begging forgiveness for crimes against God that no one knew of. He would then rise again, stronger than before, and continue dancing, drinking holy water until he emptied the chalice and drained the vessel. Those who watched these fits come over him said the Pope changed, becoming inhuman. After the fits would pass, he would seem like his normal self, greeting the crowds with a smile and blessing the children. Now, all of this might sound a bit far-fetched, especially considering there are no records of these supposed events in church doctrine. Most of what we know about Alexander VI comes from letters written by a Spanish ambassador to the King of France, but that doesn't mean the story ends there. You see, there's another side to the story. After Alexander took his position as Pope, he swiftly gained enemies. Why? Because while he lavished gifts on some of the church's most important members, others received none. In fact, he stripped them of their titles and positions, naming the influential Cardinal Alessandro de' Medici a heretic. This wasn't unusual for the time period, but it did make the Pope quite unpopular. Then there were the suspicious deaths. Everyone close to the Pope met their demise under mysterious circumstances. There was Bishop Bartolomeo Cesi, who was found dead in his bed one morning. They said it was a heart attack, but the man was only 40 years old. There was Father Jacob Basha, a priest who disappeared without a trace. Then there was Fra Christopher, who was strangled with his own rosary beads. And these are just a few of the men who worked closely with the Pope. Many high-ranking members of the church died during his tenure, and conspiracy theories abounded. Even more strangely, the bodies of these men were often mutilated after death. For example, Christopher's body had strange markings on it, and Ceci's was found with a cloth gag shoved into his mouth. People said the dead looked as though they'd been tormented while alive. All this led to rumors that the Pope was behind the killings, that he had something to do with the disappearances as well. But everyone turned a blind eye to these theories, too mesmerized by the seeming miracles of the Pope. That is, except for one monk. His name was Egidio de Viterbo. He wrote a letter to the King of Spain outlining his concerns and urging him to investigate. De Viterbo was one of the few monks brave enough to speak up. Everyone else marveled at the Pope's apparent divinity. But the monk was convinced something dark was happening inside the Vatican, that the Pope wasn't who he seemed to be. Then, one day, he, too, vanished. No one saw him again until 2 years later. When he reappeared, his eyes were glazed over and empty. He told those who found him that he'd seen Lucifer, that he'd witnessed the devil himself walk the halls of the Vatican. His words were jumbled, and his sentences made no sense. But there was one thing that stood out. He screamed at people to stay away from the Pope, warning them that their leader wasn't a man at all, but a demon in human form. And then the monk went silent again, only to appear yet again a few months later, this time crazier than before. He tore out his own eyes, screaming that he'd seen the truth, that he'd looked upon the beast beneath the robes. Then he died. Now, at this point, you're probably thinking, yeah, this guy was crazy. Maybe schizophrenia runs in the family. But there's more. Much more. See, there was a guard assigned to watch the Pope day and night. He would sit outside the door to Alexander's chambers, watching, waiting, making sure no one entered or exited without his knowledge. This guard was different though. He didn't believe the Pope was divine. He didn't believe the Pope was a saint. Instead, he was scared of the Pope, convinced there was evil in those chambers. He was right. While the Pope was in his final throes, delirious and insane, the guard crept into his chambers. As he watched the Pope convulse, he dipped a finger into the Pope's mouth and smeared the blood across the wall. When he was done, he fell to his knees and wrote 2 words in blood, non era humano, which translates to, he was not human. Then he died. Now, think whatever you want about this story. Believe it or not, it actually happened. If you don't, I won't blame you. But there are some fascinating facts you should know. First, we know Alexander VI did indeed die. There's a record of it. He suffered a stroke on April 29, 1591, and died soon after. Second, the lack of bladder and bowels isn't unheard of in certain medical conditions. However, a full autopsy report would shed more light on the Pope's condition. Unfortunately, such a report doesn't exist. We do know he didn't defecate or urinate normally, but there's no evidence as to why. It could have been a medical condition. It could have been an effect of heavy holy water consumption. Or, well, we'll leave the third suggestion to your imagination. Finally, the story of the Hollow Pope is a popular legend in Italy, so much so that there's a painting depicting the horrors of his fits, known as the Vision of St. Francis Borgia. The painting shows the future Pope Alexander VI dancing maniacally, while Borgia looks on in horror. But here's the kicker. Some say if you visit the Vatican and sneak into the forbidden section of the library beneath it, you can find a room where Lucifer's robe is kept. Sealed inside is a massive wardrobe where the devil's clothing is stored. Apparently, it still breathes. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear more terrifying tales, stay tuned for more content. I've told stories about vampires before. Everyone loves those. But today, I want to tell you about a curse. There's a myth older than Mesopotamia about a cursed stone. They call it the Eye of the Morning Star, or Lucifer's Eye. Now, some say that it's the very first tear Lucifer cried when he was cast down from heaven. Others say that it's the eye that he lost when God punched him right in the face, which is a story for another time. But here's what they all agree on. If you look into it, you see your deepest desire and how to take it by any means necessary. Genghis Khan, Hitler, even modern CEOs have been rumored to possess it briefly, but all end the same. Wealth, fame, blood, madness, then silence. Some say the eye only shows visions. Others say it feeds. So let's talk about that for a moment. What does it feed on? Okay, well, whatever you desire most, that's where it leads you. Okay, power, money, love, revenge, freedom. Whatever you desire most, it will lead you to it, right over the edge. It takes everything that you are and everything that you want and twists it, bends it until it's no longer something you recognize. It's like looking at yourself in a funhouse mirror. You know it's you, but the reflection's warped and twisted. It's hard to imagine anyone not recognizing their own desires, but it happens every day. Think about the girl who wanted to be an actress. She wanted the spotlight, the attention, so she became an influencer. Her life is still on the screen, but now she's just another product placement. Oh, the CEO who wanted to make his company bigger than God. He got his empire, but now he spends his days in court trying to keep it. There are a million examples. We see it happen every day. People who get what they thought they wanted and suddenly realize they don't want it at all. So the problem with the eye is that it does uncare if you're happy with what you get. It will always lead you to the edge, but never over it. That's why the people who get closest to it go mad. It breaks them because they're staring into the abyss, and the abyss is staring back. Now, I could tell you where it is, but then it wouldn't be a legend anymore, would it? But I can tell you where it isn't, because there are places so pure and holy that the eye cannot reach. It's places like a church where the wafers turn to flesh and the wine turns to blood. Yeah, it's one of those churches. You might think that I'm crazy. Hey, come on, dude. You're telling me there's a literal tear from the devil hidden somewhere in this world. It's gotta be here, right? Well, what do you know? I wasn't gonna reveal anything important, was I? Sorry, but here's the thing. In this world, there's nothing that cannot be bought, sold, or traded. There is nothing that cannot be used as a weapon. But the eye is different. It is not merely an object. It is a concept, a desire, the hunger inside us all. And so, wherever you go, the eye goes. Wherever you hide, it finds you. Because the eye is not out there. It's in here. It's in all of us. It's why we dream. It's why we plan. It's why we wake up in the middle of the night. It's that voice that tells us we should be more, do more, have more. It's our constant companion. And that's what makes the legend of the eye so terrifying. It is not an outside force. It is us. It is our own desire turned against us. And that's why the people who get closest to it go mad. It breaks them because they're staring into the abyss, and the abyss is staring back. So where is it? Some say it's embedded in the crown of a global financial organization. Others say it's worn around the neck of a man who smiles too much on television. Those are the two places that it's rumored to be seen the most often. But here's the truth. Wherever it is, it's watching, and it remembers you. I have a question for you. What do you desire most? Money, power, love, revenge, freedom? What do you desire most? Because if you're not careful, the eye will lead you to it. And once you see what's on the other side of the mirror, there's no turning back. Okay, but what do you say to that? You saying that we are all doomed to fail? That our greatest desire will always lead us to ruin? I say, it's up to you. It's in the end, the choice is yours. Excuse. The eye may lead you to your desire, but it's your decision whether or not to follow. Yes, it may twist and distort your dreams, but it's your choice whether or not to let it. Yes, the abyss stares back at you from the depths of your soul, but it's your choice whether or not to stare back. I am just a humble storyteller, a chronicler of the dark things that dwell in the human heart. I don't have all the answers. I never have, and I never will. All I can do is tell you the stories that I've heard and the legends that have been passed down to me. The rest is up to you. Hey, you want to hear another story? This one's pretty good. It's about a demon who escaped hell and is living in the sewers of New York City. He feeds on the fear and despair of the homeless, and only a priest with a very particular set of skills can stop him. Want to hear it? Okay, great. Here it is.